Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes Reacts. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
I'm Office Bloke Daz.
Collectively Radio Office Blokes. Got two other YouTube channels, Patreon page, social media, all that good stuff. Brand spanking new merch. Treat yourself, treat your missus, treat us while you're at it. That'd be nice.
Treat Matt Hancock.
Treat Matt Hancock to a little...
It's a bit of common sense.
To a little Hancock. Run back. Anyway, so 4 ways British and American beaches are very different. I guess it is going to be culturally, not just the sand is a bit more coarse.
I'd imagine so.
I mean, you lived in the States for a long time.
I live near some of the best beaches. Obviously, the Jersey Shore's, it's got its reputation for certain parts of it, but where I used to live near Spring Lake was one of the nicest beaches. No commercialisation whatsoever, just a nice beach.
Is everyone in general that's on the beach in better shape? Because I always think of places like Jersey Shore, everyone's got six packs and they're on steads and they're flexing on the beach.
That was just me. That was me in the old days.
Because it's jumper weather 9 months of the year, or sweater weather 9 months of the year in this country, so we don't need to be in shape. That's my theory.
Yeah, that's your excuse.
I'm in shape, but for the pub.
Yeah,
I'm in pub shape.
Yeah. We'll get into it then. 4 ways British and American beaches are very different.
I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to the things either side of it. Beaches. Remember beaches? Beaches were a big part of my childhood. I was born in the seaside town of Cleethorpes. I holidayed in Devon, and I watched things like Jaws, a film depicting terrible tragedies at sea, and Jaws the Revenge, a terrible tragedy. But those childhood experiences were only a taster of what was to come. After moving to America, I realized that many universal seaside traditions from my youth weren't universal at all. The British and American beach culture were like chalk and cheese or the word lieutenant. Sure, your standard beach will usually come with large helpings of sand, waves and David Hasselhoff, but look closer because everything from the sea life to the beach food is quite different on either side of the pond. So pull out your bucket and spade as we take a look at 4 ways British and American beach culture is very different.
You just need fish and chips and an ice cream and you're laughing. That's it.
That's all you need.
All you need on the beach.
No, you don't.
I can imagine the seafront.
Topless bathers.
You get loads of topless scousers in North Wales.
That's usually the blokes though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's often said that the biggest difference between Britain and America is that America thinks 100 years is a long time and Britain thinks 100 miles is a long way, but that's not it. The biggest difference is food. And while that's the sort of thing that I might say after subsisting only off a single fajita, it's even true at the seaside. For instance, my American wife had never heard of sticks of rock. And if you're like her, a stick of rock is a type of stick-shaped boiled confectionery sold at seaside resorts in Britain. They're painful to eat. In fact, Venn diagrams show a significant overlap between rock consumption and stereotypes about British teeth. Willy Wonka himself would have ruled it a step too far, and while the Candyman thinks he can, he bloody can't. But another staple of British seaside is the 99 flake. This is a soft-served ice cream topped off with a Cadbury flake. It's immense. But to me, few things are more immense than the meal of my hometown. Fish and or chips. Don't get me wrong, fish and or chips is plentiful in America. It's just not particularly synonymous with American seaside.
Fish and or chips, did he say?
Yeah.
He said it twice.
Yeah, I don't know.
He did?
I've never heard it called fish and or chips.
I think he's
saying that it can just be fish, it can just be chips or fish and chips.
Yeah, but it's fish and chips.
Fish and chips.
Even if you just have a fish.
Yeah.
It's fish and chips without the chips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fish and chips, please, but not the chips.
Or just say chippy.
Chippy, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Chippy.
I had fish and chips last night from the chippy.
Very nice.
Chippy supper.
Chippy tea. Chippy tea.
Really synonymous with ours, though, isn't it?
You get chippy tits, Dave, if you're not careful.
Definitely.
I've got chippy tits already. Thanks.
To uncover every food item that is, I'd need a notepad, a dietary translator, and about 26 hours. That's because American beach food varies from region to region. In New England, they're all about their clam cakes and pier fries, which is sort of like fish and or chips, but without a knife. In the mid-Atlantic, New Jersey sells rippers. These aren't tiny clones of Peter Sutcliffe, but a type of hot dog that burst after being deep-fried in oil. I want that right now. In the Great Lakes, particularly in Michigan, something that smelled fried was fried smelt. Fried smelt is basically tiny battered fish, but it's also the reason my cat is staring at me right now with all the intensity of Quint from Jaws. On that note, southern beachgoers apparently need something with a little bite. Restaurants accommodate this by putting fried alligator on the menu. At first, I assumed this was just another American food title that comically incorporated animals, like elephant ear, puppy chow, and hello panda. But fried alligator is actual alligator. And in case you're wondering, the meat can only be legally sourced from alligator farms, which apparently exist outside of the James Bond universe. Bearing the berry imported from Brazil, acai bowls are all the rage on the West Coast, where it's important to have a beach body like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or YouTube sensation Lawrence Brown. In the Pacific Northwest, people dig for and eat razor clams. Despite their name, razor clams are not suitable objects for shaving with. If I could speak to my younger self, that's what I'd tell him. And in Hawaii, they're all about their poke. And when I say their poke, I mean it. This fish salad originated on the islands, along with the ukulele and the surfboard. Speaking of which... So much for edible objects. What about the kind that you don't stick in your mouth? This should definitely apply to windbreaks, which are useful for breaking coastal wind, less so for breaking your own. They were all over British beaches when I was a kid, and by all accounts you still see them, but I wasn't sure of their popularity stateside, so I fielded responses on Twitter. On the whole, my American followers arrived at my consensus that windbreakers aren't really a thing over here. This accounts for why George Lucas wrote lines about sand getting everywhere. Moreover, the British have another way of evading the element.
If you're into camping holidays, which I know you're not,
No.
as soon as
That's
you
what hotels were designed for. So
nah,
you don't have to fucking live in a tent.
as soon as you pitch your tent, you put a couple of windbreaks around everyone's tents, and you mark off your little area.
Got your little
That's where the
territory.
barbecue goes, the gazebo over the top.
Yeah.
Then that's home. You've got off your windbreaks.
Yeah.
You see a lot of them in continental Europe.
You do.
Yeah, definitely.
Windbreaks.
Yeah, you're right.
When I'm not a beach goer. I don't really go on the beach.
Yeah.
Too much fucking about, and it's too close to the sea. So
Lining the sands of several beaches up and down Britain, beach huts are also used by beachgoers for getting changed, storing belongings, and definitely not for acting out the name of a fruity cocktail. But there's one other thing to note about beach huts. You're far less likely to find them in America. This is perhaps not surprising, given that the southern and eastern coasts frequently endure enormous hurricanes. But if America did have them, there's one item that they're more likely to store than us Brits: surfboards. While surfing has made some waves in Britain, it ain't got nothing on America. This calls to mind the song Surfin' USA by rock and roll legends the Beach Boys. Tragically, of course, the song was later covered by Aaron Carter. But modern surfing came to the US in the early 1900s via the Hawaiian surfers Duke Kahanamoku and George Freeth, the latter of whom died during the global flu pandemic of 100 years ago. That said, the relative absence of surfing doesn't mean that Brits don't have anything to ride at the beach, and I'm not just alluding to what they get up to in their huts. I'm talking about donkey rides. Throughout the UK, a popular seaside pastime is riding donkeys on the beach, and this is an activity enjoyed not by humans, but children. As someone who's done it, I'd always assumed that this happened the world over, but by all accounts it's a weird British thing. My hope is that our two countries can come together to invent donkey surfing. Until then, let's talk about other seafaring animals.
donkey surfing.
The thing is, in this country, going to the beach like that is just all about the kids. And kids see a donkey or something, and it's like it's not like there's grown adults going on a date.
Yeah.
Get a donkey each and just trot down.
Do you know what they give the donkeys?
kids,
You know the donkeys at Blackpool? Do you know what they give them for lunch?
What?
Half an hour.
Dreadful. Yeah, but going to the beach has been like it's back to the Victorian times where no one had anything.
Yeah.
And then you get to the beach and it was a whole
Yeah.
ordeal.
Who
Wasn't it?
came up with the idea though of putting people on donkeys on a beach though? I mean, it's still a bit of a bizarre
Well, it's
thing.
like a
really,
ride,
when you
isn't
think
it?
about
It's
it.
like like a novelty.
Some opportunistic donkey owner that was skint.
Must have
Got
been.
to ride my donkey for £1.
Joseph.
It's often said that Britain and America are two nations divided by a common language, but they're also two nations divided by 300 million cubic kilometers of water. Because of this, and because America has a secret second ocean out back, it stands to reason that some marine animals get lost in the pond. Take, for example, the great white shark. In Jaws the Revenge, a great white disguised as a Fisher-Price toy swims from Martha's Vineyard to the Bahamas after catching wind of Ellen Brody's travel plans. And all of that totally checks out because great whites do like to roam the shores of those places, but also the shores of many other not Britain places. One of those places is California, where fatal great white attacks are the highest in the nation. Of course, there have only been about 15 of those in the last century, but a record is a record. On the other hand, fish such as the Atlantic cod, Atlantic plaice or Atlantic mackerel only grace America's northeast. In Britain, these surround the entire country like moving boxes currently surround me. In fact, everything that I just said is true of the Atlantic puffin too. Often found on cliffs up and down Britain, Atlantic puffins always seem like Britain's consolation prize for missing out on penguins. Of course, there are plenty of other birds that we missed out on too. You might recall that the British wartime singer Vera Lynn famously sang, "There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover." The problem is Dame Vera lied. Bluebirds are unique to North America. And I've just realised that Dame Vera might be watching this. What I meant to say was, Dame Vera, your American lyricist lied. Actually, he was just confused, like me. Speaking of words...
You don't think even back then people were clever enough to go, we want this song to sell in America as well, so let's throw in some Americanisms because it's a bigger audience over there.
There'll be puffins flying over the white cliffs of Dover. Wouldn't have the same.
Seagulls.
Got the quite
Seagulls
doesn't
shitting over the white cliffs of Dover.
That's why they're white.
Yeah.
How cynical.
I'm a cynic.
It's often said that Britain and America are two nations divided by 300 million cubic kilometres of water, mainly by me, but they're also two nations divided by a common language. Why should life at the beach be any different? Earlier, when discussing food, I neglected to include what Americans call cotton candy. That's because it's available at seasides on either side of the pond, except in Britain, there's one crucial difference. It's not called cotton candy, it's called dental loss. I'm joking, it's called candy floss. It's sort of the perfect way to distract children as you walk along the promenade, or should I say, boardwalk. It's hard to know because both words have currency in both countries. It's just that promenade is foremost in Britain while boardwalk is more prominent in the US. Equal disparity can be found over the pronunciation of a certain floating device. Used for navigation, marking underwater objects, and eliciting the question, what is that thing? A buoy can serve many purposes. Its biggest purpose, though, is starting flame wars between Brits and Americans, the latter of whom usually pronounce it buoy. But are you sick of all those arguments? I am. How about this, right? Just for once, let's rise above it. Let's not take the bait. Let's ride the wave together. It's an ideal worth floating. I'll stop now. That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments below.
Didn't really learn anything from that.
No, it's a little bit dull, that. And I love going to the beach as well.
Yeah, we've done a few of his videos, though. They're usually pretty good.
They've been pretty good.
One thing you missed out on there at the beaches was the fun fairs.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a really famous one in
Coney Island,
New York.
That's the only one I can think of. But is that where it is?
No, New York. Yeah, but if you go down the Jersey Shore, they've got Point Pleasant. I think it is around there. It's
right.
And
but we have that. We've got fun fairs at the beach.
Yeah, no.
Oh, so you're saying for similarity?
Similarity. He's not mentioned it. He's
Did I have
commercialisation down some of the. I can't think where the bloody Jersey Shore, where it was the. Everyone will tell me in the comments where the town was, where it had the big fun fair and all. It got smashed up actually in one of the tornadoes, one of the hurricanes that came.
Right.
Did they have like seafronts like us, like
Seaside Heights,
like Blackpool and Southport? You know, the seafronts with the same type of little shops and arcades and stuff.
Seaside Heights is a little bit like that.
So they have the same type of.
I'm talking only New Jersey at the moment, but they're all the way down the east coast of the USA, and probably in different areas as well, like the west coast of Florida and stuff like that, probably. I know a lot of places I haven't been to, but there's certainly a lot of commercialisation when you go to the beaches.
Yeah.
There's some really nice beaches, like I say, Spring Lake, where I used to live. The beaches were just like gorgeous, no commercialisation whatsoever.
Nice.
Just parking in front. You get off and it's got the boardwalk, and then they got the dunes, and then the beach.
Yeah, nice. Sounds good.
We don't need beaches. It's nearly the end of June and it's pissing it down outside.
It's a nice weekend though. It's going to be nice this weekend. Mike's going to the beach this week. He's off on holiday.
Next week, on to Wales. Yeah. Should be nice. Yeah, they've got some nice beaches there actually. I'm going to see really nice
Get
ones.
some rock, some candy floss,
I love rock.
some fish and chips.
Oh, rock's terrible with
I
your
love
teeth
rock.
though, innit?
I don't care. I love it.
Oh man,
I never eat it.
It's been a while since I've had that, but
Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, hope you beaches like that.
beach.
So you ready to date?
Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.